Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. I want to talk to you tonight about the new injustice that nobody's talking about. I want to talk about it. Have you noticed that Christians the real deal, not people who think they're Christians, real Christians have been added to the list of people groups that are being unjustly accused, persecuted, and executed for no reason except their faith. They are being executed for something they believe. Now, by definition, religious faith is something held in our soul, in our spirit, not only in our minds. When that faith is truly Christian, it always improves the moral, social focus of that person, making that person the ideal citizen in whatever culture they may be. However, from the days of Jesus, people who overtly identify with the one true God of heaven have been persecuted, jailed, and even murdered. Jesus himself was unjustly accused and executed. His disciples were ostracized, persecuted, and most of them were martyred for their faith. John, who wrote the book of the Revelation and the epistles of John, he didn't die that kind of a death. But they tried. We're told that he was boiled in oil or some sort of thing and survived it. Today, sincere Christians, sincere followers of the Lord Jesus Christ are under attack everywhere, not only in the lands dominated by religions and governments hostile to Christianity, but increasingly in those parts of the world historically home to and founded by Christians. Today, if your religious orientation is toward a works system, what you do, I'm a Christian because I go to church. I'm a Christian because I speak in tongues. I'm a Christian because I sing these ballads or these mush tunes or whatever it might be. I'm a Christian because, well, I don't do this or I don't do that or I carry my Bible. If your religious orientation is built around that, the general opinion from the population is either, well, that's nice, or none of my business. But if your religious orientation is toward faith, especially faith in God through the Lord Jesus Christ, you're largely anathema. Don't really want to talk to you, don't really want to be around you, unless you're charismatic or you're ultra liberal, in which case you can be tolerated because you have no values. You have no Bible values. Your mouth may be just as ugly as anybody's. You may laugh at the same jokes. You may go out after work with the guys and get a beer. You would do all those things because you have liberty. But think of it. The most transcendent way of life a man or woman can embrace on this earth, one that motivates every single person who gets involved to not only love God with all their heart, their soul, and their mind, but also their neighbor as themselves. To love their enemies the way they love their family. To do good to them that hate you. To bless them and curse not. And to pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Those people are cursed, hated, and persecuted. By every measure, Christian persecution, and even more fundamentally, fear and loathing of biblical Christianity, is growing worldwide, even in the once Christian West, including Europe, the United Kingdom, North America. The most appalling manifestation within the United States has been the church shooting massacres. On top of this, Christians are considered infidels by millions of Muslims, taught from birth that such people are deserving of death or forced conversion to Islam, or else dhimitude, the subservient second-class status that comes with a punitive tax. Likewise, the ruling elite in communist societies indoctrinate their population to believe that there is no God, or, as in North Korea, that their leader is a god, rendering Christianity a serious competitor for the people's loyalty and thus a mortal threat to communists' limitless ambitions for power. The most surprising and perhaps the most telling is that here in America, Christian believers are increasingly reviled in a land historically founded as explicitly Christian. America's culture today is not merely unchristian, it is anti-Christian. The news, the entertainment media mock and belittle Christian beliefs, as do most of the nation's colleges and universities, while the political left increasingly equates biblical values with ignorance and bigotry at best, and at worst, with white nationalism or perhaps fascism. What's going on? Well, clearly, all this is by design. On the one hand, the average human being is totally without God. He comes into the world that way. This means that naturally, natively, we are oriented toward what we can and cannot be or do in and of ourselves. On the other hand, when religion is brought in, it is universally designed as simply completely anti-Christianity. We can have any religious belief we want as long as it's not Christianity, meaning that it's a works righteousness system. It's not what you believe only, it's what you do. You act out in this way that, oh yeah, I have to go here, do that, light this, bow before that, whatever. And a works-oriented system not only denies Christianity, but it hates Christianity. And I can say that because if it didn't, they'd embrace Christianity. But Christianity is their enemy. They don't want Christianity. That's why they got their system. And inquiring minds want to know whatever happened to live and let live. Islam hates what they consider either unbelief or any contrary belief. In Islam, the faithful are seen throughout the world persecuting, beating, killing anybody who is either violating the Mohammedan code or daring to convert to any other religious belief. This is where they control the population, obviously. While for their own, there is only brutality and the worst forms of death. For homosexuality or even the accusation, we've seen young boys thrown off high buildings while bound and gagged in Muslim countries. For infidelity from women, the penalty is death. For a man, well, that's different, you see, because men have needs, you know. And where is the liberal left in all this? While all this is going on, what do you hear from them? And all you get is crickets. You don't hear anything. They're nowhere to be seen or heard, not a whimper. But let a Christian simply declare their disdain for homosexuality or abortion, and the roar is instant and overwhelming. Let a Christian disdain to suggest they don't believe in divorce. Of course, increasingly, Christians do believe in divorce. It's a translation problem. Or maybe transgenderism. I don't believe in that. Well, you're just a bigot. It might be something worse. Did you know that in the 5-6 years since we've been hearing of transgenderism, As much as science came down on the side of the idea of transgenderism at the beginning, I don't mean all of it, but there was a sizable percentage. It's all moving the other way now. More and more people who ought to know are saying this is not right. This is not good. It's too late, folks. You've indoctrinated a generation of young people, and they're going to continue with it. You're going to have more problems with this than you can shake a stick at. But this is how you know that Christian values are right and that they are good and that they are godly. You know by who is against them. Only the one true God of heaven is not accepted. Every other God you can think of and stuff you can create out of thin air, they're all equally acceptable except the one true God of heaven as described in the Bible. He is not accepted. Why not? For the reason the Bible gives us, that we are born in sin. Not that our parents are sinners as they conceive a child, but we come into this world in a sinful condition. We have a heart, we have a soul, we have a mind, a body. None of it is oriented toward God. Children have to be taught, they have to be counseled, they have to be put into, I can't think of a non-threatening term, into a form. They have to be nurtured. They have to be carefully indoctrinated as to what's right and what's wrong. They don't know it. It's the code of the 2-year-old. No idea that taking that hammer and hitting her sister in the head was a bad thing. She needed it. She was hollering at me and I didn't want her to holler and I hit her. That's the heart. You got to train people up in the way they should go. And the only place we will ever find the values, the morality, the standards, the behaviors, the attitudes, and all the rest of it that are of value is in the Bible. No other book will give it to you. No other philosophy brings it out. Only the Bible. So if you do not raise up children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, you're raising little pagans to act out however they feel. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. I told you last week about the new ailment. They've got an ailment now with, I think, the hand because of holding the phone in, like this while they play with it. And they've got now a name for a new ailment. Why are they doing that every minute of every day? And watch it. I mean, I watch commercials. There was one just the other day where this couple had finished watching a movie at night in the evening, and they had to go to work in the next day, and they're sitting on the couch, and he says, "Oh, it's just a shame we have to go to bed." And the husband says, "Why? Maybe we don't have to." And the wife thought for him, "Oh, okay." So they turned the TV on, and when the TV came on, boom, she's right back in the phone. Who taught her to do that? Well, nobody. The world said, let's do that. Where was the parent that said, give me that phone? Does your 8-year-old child have a phone? Why? Well, case of emergency. They might need me. Okay. Where are they that they need you and you're not already there? Well, they go to school. There's an emergency at school? Yeah. They ain't going to let you within 5 miles of that place. Well, they might get sick. They have nurses. They'll call you if they need you. You see? Well, what if they're out and they do it? What are they doing out? They're 8 years old. What are they doing out? By themselves, away from home, place you don't know, that they have to call you. Emergency, I get an emergency. I'd like to get involved in parents' world and teach them what an emergency is. It's not that the phone battery died. An emergency is somebody's going to die. That's an emergency. Everything else is just a problem of life that you'd have to learn to overcome. But we're not doing that anymore. We're not teaching the rules and the regulations, and we're not teaching self-discipline or self-control, and the children are running amok, and then when we get older, the parents are going to school to defend them. See? The culture does not naturally gravitate toward God. We have to teach our children. And for adults, we have to practically reprogram ourselves. Learn what the values are, learn what the rights and the wrongs are, and learn to live that way. Purpose to do it. Takes time. But when you get there, you'll be so much happier. And if you do not care about bowing your heart and your life before the Lord Jesus Christ, you won't ever have to worry again about doing something bad. You will be in a bad place forever and ever and ever. Sadly. That's simple.